Hi, my name is Alessandro Cangelosi and that's a video tutorial coming from cgcookie.com for MaxCookie. This time we continue to talk about the Planet Earth tutorial series, and we start playing a little bit with the particles because we prepared the basic stuffs there for rendering and FX. And so we can start from the part we done past time. Let's see where we worked on the mask there, and we are there. The first mask is this one, so we can make a new material and we use this map, so copy and paste, and this one will be FFX guide. We can assign it not to the cloud, but the cloud can be set as display as box and not renderable, but we assign it to the planet and the map will be visible. So you see that now we have the map there moving in real time, so we can see what we are doing using the particles too. So let's save this one. We can go there, save as, and save as part 4. Yes, we can overwrite. Okay, so let's start using we can play with FilmFX to prepare some layers. So we need, FilmFX object source. Okay, and the source will be the planet, and you know that there we have the texture and the stuffs that can give us the channel to work on. So let's say that we use as temperature the intensity, and the map we'll use is the gradient, so we can make a test with this one. Then let's go there to create a FilmFX, and we'll create something like that. We'll move it from there and we'll scale it to have a bigger area. Okay, so then we go inside FilmFX user interface and we add the source there. For the moment I like to have no simulation for smoke. We can open this one, and I like to see what happens if we use the basic value just to see if the map is working fine. So let's say planet FFX layer A, and save, and let's see the scaling there. Let's see the map. Let's go to have a more little scale. Do something like that. Okay. And let's say that we have from 0 to 600. Actually, I'm still seeing nothing there, but I'd like to wait to see if we have something later. I stopped the recording for the moment so we can see later if something happened or not. Let's try to be more precise. So having the map, we have to tune more stuff. So let's try with the particles. So let's close there, and let's say that we have a particle flow. And the emitter will be the earth, so we need a position object. The position object is the planet, and we need to use the density by grayscale. So let's go to change there, and let's say that we have particles flying away until 600, and we are talking about 2000 particles. You see that now we start to see particles. Let's set to off the speed. Okay, so we see the particles emitted by the fire moving over the surface. So let's say that we have more particles. We have 100% particles inside the viewport, and we have a delete to kill the particles. After a while we have no rotation, and the delete is by particle age. Let's see if it can be enough to have 60, and seems not bad. Okay, then I'd like to have a little bit of chaos, so let's say maybe we can use a wind. So wind, and let's go in particle flow source, and we add a force by list and wind. Obviously we have to tune the parameters because now the need as the speed. So the strength is 0, and let's say that we have the turbulence 0, 0, 1. Let's use less turbulence. It is still too much, but maybe if we have a drag until the end, maybe it can help. So another force, I use another node because I'm not sure if we need to use a different value there. So add by list, drag and select. Let's see what happens. Okay, you see that it is moving a little bit slower. So back, particle view, let's use dots. I'd like to understand if these particles are still there. We have to check it later to understand if it is a problem. It can be a problem due to the map we are using. So let's get there and let's try to solve this problem. seems working now. Okay, before we had the white repeating there from the gradient, so I said to use the tile, so we have the black on the side, so we have particles just on the animated mask, as you see. Okay, so we have more control over the effects in this way. So we can remove this source, and back on source we can say particle source for film effects, and we can add particle flow, and let's see. Okay, the scaling is not so big, but obviously I'm sure we need more particles. Let's try to make a preview. And add as source this one. And let's see what happens. We have it there, but I'm sure that the particles are really low as amount of number. You see that we are starting to see something now. So if we use bigger scale there, we should start to see the fire. In fact, you see that now we have something. First of all, let's go inside the helpers there, and let's say the gravity vector. Okay, and let's rotate it by 90 degrees to have the gravity in this way. Let's add the gravity, and let's see if it helps. Let's wait for some frame. Because I like to see what happens when it is burning more. Actually, I see that we have still too much fire, but we have to check. And I'd like to tune also other parameters, but we can do it later. So let's cancel, and let's see what we can do. First of all, we can start adding the fire later, but the first thing I like to do is to change some parameters there for the rendering. Just to see it better. Okay. And then another thing I like to do is to say that the fire is starting later. Let's say we have no preview. Or we can start there, but we need for sure. Let's select the source, maybe directly inside Film Effects. So that's the source, and we can say that we have no fuel at the beginning, or no temperature. Let's say that we have 0 temperature, then until 100 we have still 0, and then it starts to be higher. At 180 we have 300. So the fire is coming step by step. You see we have no fire, and then it starts to burn. Then another thing we have to do is for sure to use more particles. So let's go there, and let's say that we have maybe 50,000 particles. So we can catch more detail, and we can say that the particles are a little bit more little, and the particles will die before, so we need the particle flow source, and we say that delete is after, let's say, 30 with a variation of 5. So particles are dying faster. Now you can see it. Okay. Save and back there. And try to make a new simulation to see if something is going better. You see that at the beginning we have no fire because the temperature is low until the frame 100, and then it starts to burn. You see, and we can see also that the life seems better. Okay, we have for sure to add chaos, because you see we have a ring, and we don't need a ring shape there, but we need a chaotic movement. So inside the simulation we see that we have 1 for the vorticity, and let's say that we have, I don't remember the scale and the scene, so let's go to check it. And to check it we can use a tape. Okay, we can say that the scale of the noise can be 20 maybe. So back, and let's say that the scaling is 20 with 4 for the detail, and let's say that we have a force of 5 meters. Back there, and let's see again what happened. We should have something more interesting than before. I stopped the recording so we can see it later. It seems really to match the speed we are using there, so the turbulence. So let's say 0.25, and we can recalculate. I stop again the recording, and we will see if it works in a few. Okay, so we can stop and we can check what happened there, but to be faster I disable the particle flow, so you see we are faster to see what happened. So I think that it is better than before. We need for sure more detail. So let's say, for example, there 5, and let's say there that we have 10 for the scaling, maybe. So it's half scaling. And I like to see also something more related to the scaling there. Let's try to have a better quality, something like that. So we can save and we can start checking if something happens with a good quality. We have to set to on gain particle flow, sorry. Let's see again. Okay, stop the recording. Let's stop. Back to the first frame. Set to off particle flow, and let's see what we have now. Okay. So I think that we have to have less life for particles again. So let's delete after 10 frames and 2 of variation, and let's try to have more particles too. Let's see what we have in viewport. Okay, and with FilmFX, let's try to have, let's scale their radius for the particles, and we try to have again a lower scale there to have more visibility with faster simulation, and we try to add also the simulate smoke, and the fire is creating the smoke. So let's try to simulate some frames. Now it is really fast, so we can check it together. We need to tune. Let's try to say it. And we can also we can not use this one, and we can also animate there the parameters for smoke. So we say that we have, I have to scale there because there is no space, so you have to set 0 the smoke there at the beginning, then you have to go at frame 100 and set it to 0.2, and then you can go at frame 150, 180, because before we done at 180, and you can say smoke, maybe let's try with 1. Let's remove the auto key and back there we can try to make a preview. Okay, so let's check what I just simulated, and let's go back in FilmFX. and let's see, we have nothing there, and then we start to have the smoke, and the smoke is really heavy. Let's try to go inside Film Effects to have it lower. Obviously it's just for this preview, we have to tune all the stuffs to have it in the right way, but I can say still that the smoke is really heavy. So we can go without the smoke. So back in Film Effects, remove the smoke from the rendering and from simulation 2. From rendering we can remove now, and let's see there. Okay, talking about the fire simulation, let's see what we have. Obviously the scaling is really low, but it depends on the fire. So we need to try having still more particles. I'd like to make a test. So we can make a test with an higher value there, let's say for example 400. Just let's see if we have too much particles or not. I think that now we have too much particles. So let's wait. And let's try in a different way. Let's try with 40,000. But let's try with an higher quality, and maybe at the beginning we can use a lower scale of this one, so we can have just for some frame the idea of what we are trying to achieve. Okay, so we'll have more quality just with the grid dimension. Let's try with 0.5, 0.3. Okay, now we should have a really good quality, and we can try to see what happens. So I launch the simulation in this way, and we'll see later how it works without the smoke, obviously. Okay, so now we can check. I tried to simulate the entire animation, so we can check what we have simulated. So let's see how it looks. See, we have still nothing, and then we have the fire, and there seems not bad. I have just something to say about the scaling of the fire, because it seems really little, because we have the flames. That's big flames. Let's continue and let's see that it's not bad, talking about the resolution. But we start to see another problem. We have not so much particles, because we see the particles popping out, you see. So we need more particles later. Okay, I like also to see, for example, a rendering for this frame to understand what we have inside the rendering viewport. Let's go to use the scan line. Okay, and let's see a rendering. Okay, we see also the map, and the fire is not so visible. So let's go there, and inside the rendering you see that we have 004. Let's go for a more visible flame, maybe a little bit less. Okay, just to see. And you see that the scale is really low. It's too big. So we have to make some testing using, for example, an higher scale there. And we can remember that we can use also the detail using the wavelet turbulence, obviously. Then we have also to add more particles. So let's go for maybe 150,000, and let's set 1. And we need more detail. So to have more detail there, we have to change the scaling there. Let's see 10 meters there. So you see that 10 meters is really big. So let's go back, but let's specify, for example, okay, we can try with 1.5 meters to see if we have the possibility to use this parameter. Inside the simulation, there we say 1.5 with 5 for the detail, so we have a lot of detail, and we can try to see just some frames to see if it works in the right way or not. So back there with a preview panel, I set to render, to simulate, and I start to see how it looks. And then if it is not bad, we can then move to make a better simulation using also the wavelet turbulence. So for the moment I stop the recording and we'll see just some frames. So I need not to calculate the entire simulation. So I stop the recording and we'll see it be later together. Okay, we have to check the result, and we have also to set 2 of the particles there. Let's see what we have. It seems that we have more little flames. Obviously we should need also to have a better scale, and we need also a lot of more particles to have a good result. So let's see when we have a more little scale there. Okay, we can try to do something like having more particles. Let's try with 300,000, and in Fume Effects we'll try to have a lower scale. Let's go for 0.5 with a little bit less detail, and then we have to go also there, and we use a lower scale there. Let's try with 7, and again let's try to make another simulation, and then we'll try to simulate some frames with a higher scale for the resolution for the voxel, and we'll use also the wavelet turbulence. So we'll see what we can obtain in this way, and then I think we can finalize this tutorial and move on the next part. Okay, I stopped the recording to see some frames with you later. So let's check this new simulation. Okay, that's the result. Obviously later we have to tune the particles to have particles still for more frames, but I like to see there the quality of the flame. And I like to see with an higher scale there for the simulation, and to have it we try also to have a lower area there, because I like just to make a test for some frames, so it's not useful to have a lot of data. And another thing I like to do is to change the scaling, because obviously there we need a really huge amount of data. Let's try in this way. And I like to add also the, let's close some panel there, to add the wavelet turbulence. And let's try to add a little bit of scaling. Okay, let's try in this way, and we'll see what we can obtain with a really high quality, so you can use later these parameters to make the final calculation. Sorry, I have to set to on the particles, obviously. Okay, I stop again the recording. Okay, let's check for the moment the simulation, and then we'll calculate the wavelet turbulence. It seems that we have more detail than before. You see, it is a little bit better than before, and I like to see with a wavelet turbulence. So C mode wavelet, and let's say where we like to save the wavelet, and let's say there we can call it in this way, and we can have a scale of 2. Let's try to have a strength of 3. Let's try with a scale of 2.5. Let's see if we have enough RAM to calculate it. It should be not so slow, because we have also not so much frame to calculate. Okay, I stopped the recording, and later we'll see together the result. Okay, I just calculated just some frames. You see a really low amount of frames because it is really slow, but we can check the scaling, and we should have a really good amount of detail there. And I think that it can be enough for the first layer we are using there over the particles. So I think you can calculate this simulation, and in the next part we'll work on the look, and we'll try to have the first fluids layer to add to the particles we have there. So I think that for the moment that's all, and I hope to see you back on Max Cookie to check for new tutorial coming from cgcookie.com. Bye.